Well, now this is India's big AI movement, as Prime Minister said, and I quote that India is at the forefront of leading the transformation of AI-led future. In a major leap towards shaping the global artificial intelligence landscape, India will commence the India AI Impact Summit 2026 today. The summit aims to position India at the heart of international dialogue on the future of AI.
So the next time I go to a doctor, is it going to be a human or an agent?
Great question. You know, how many of the folks in the audience are students? Can I see a show of hands? You know, I'm a professor, so I need to know my audience. You know, there are 3 points I want to very quickly make, and excellent points made by everybody here on the panel. First of it, I mean, I don't know how many of you read this book of mine. This is Reimagining Health, and what we're really talking about, reimagining health employment, which is what I'm going to talk about. There are 8 billion people in the world, out of which 5 billion people do not have meaningful access to healthcare. And part of the reason they do not have meaningful access to healthcare is because we have become more and more sick care-centric model, where tertiary care institutions like AIMS and Stanford hospitals are the ones providing care to most of our people. Whereas, where are most of the people? They're in the homes and communities and villages and smaller towns and cities. So that's point number one, that there is a need for healthcare or health system to be reimagined, right? Bringing it closer to people, closer to humanity, as it were. Second point I would make is that the cost of care is going to continue to go up if we stay with the sick care model, right? So if we want India to be a Viksit Bharat by 2047, or we want rest of the LMIC settings, the 5 billion people I talked about, for them to emerge out of poverty, emerge out of their resource constraints, they need to make sure that they are able to keep their populations healthy and productive in a cost-effective way. What that means is you need innovation. Technology innovation is part of it, process innovation, to enable that shift. And then the last thing I would say is that we often think of AI, or any technological tool for that matter, as taking away jobs. In fact, we should flip that, especially in healthcare. Healthcare is a very strong use case for AI, for technology in general. In the US, 15% of the population is involved with healthcare one way or another. If you translate that number to India, you're talking about 150 million plus jobs. Okay? So if you think of AI as a job creator, a net job creator, because you have 1.4 billion people whose health needs to be cared for, you need a lot of people who will provide care for, you know, as our population ages and as our healthcare moves to closer and closer to the smaller towns and cities and villages, we need more and more people. But how are you going to do that? The one way you can do that is by enabling them through technology. Now it could be devices, diagnostics, or digital health. And the latest tool in the toolkit is AI-enabled systems. You know, I was just looking at the new kind of jobs that would be created because of AI. How many of you have heard care navigator for high-risk cohorts, diabetes, TB, pregnancy, heart failure? Care navigator for high-risk patients. I mean, those jobs don't exist today. So you, in fact, are going to create new kinds of jobs. And a good number of you folks in the audience who are students will likely be doing those jobs. So the way I think about AI in healthcare and other use cases too, I suspect this might be the case in other industries, other applications, that AI will actually net create jobs. So the last point I'll quickly make is that India shouldn't really be catching up with AI in healthcare in particular, or AI in other use cases. India should be leapfrogging it. That's what India should be aiming for.
Very interesting perspective, Anurag. You also are on the board of the IIT Bombay Alumni Association in the United States. What are you hearing from fresh graduates who are now coming out of universities within the IIT family and, of course, the broader student ecosystem as well? What are they seeing in the job market?
It's challenging for them because I think you made this point, Sanjeev, that, you know, folks are not ready when a technology wave hits. They're not ready for it. And then they quickly try to pivot. And our academic institutions, mine included, even though Stanford is at the hub of technology innovation, and we have a lot of professors, a lot of students who are involved in it, honestly, we are not doing as good a job as we should in preparing this next generation for the kinds of jobs that are coming. So they are concerned, but they're also excited. I think the youngest population that's graduating today feels a lot more excited about AI technology and feels they could do something with it. But we have to show them. We have to show them. I think our generation has to show them the path. We have to show them how these tools could potentially be useful for creating more productivity, more impact, more outcome at a lower cost. That's the other thing. Most folks, when they see the numbers around AI, LLMs in particular, they're looking at numbers, trillions of dollars being invested. I think the ROI for that, I don't know how that's going to be. But I think from use case perspective, which is where most of the ROI is going to come from, I see tremendous impact. $1 trillion healthcare, health technology ecosystem requires 10 million trained professionals, 10 million, which is very much what India's opportunity is.
So I think we are in the last 7 minutes or so. I'll just quickly go around the rest of the panel, very short responses. So Satish, with you starting, Infosys, when in our days would recruit in the thousands, how is it changing now? What are you seeing? Is it very targeted recruitment? What's changed?
I think from a core capability, I'd say two things that everybody should have. It's whether it's technologies or otherwise. One is lifelong learnability. I think it becomes an essential ingredient that students should have. Right? If any, with AI, I think that's far more important than ever before, right? Because one thing is for sure, things around you will change, will continuously change. And the speed with which it's going to change is also accelerating. So which means learnability has to be the core capability for everyone to harness on. And I think if I were to hire someone, Shashi, I'll be looking for that, number one.
Sir, your closing thoughts, what do you see as Mr. Bigchandani?
Well, I mean, for each person here, individually, I think set yourself a personal target of learning how to use 3 AI platforms within the next 3 months and applying them in your work. The more you do that, the more your job is safe.
Even though you are the moderator, Shashi, being, it's second nature to me to do the, so, so couple of points which I want to make is one, Satish, when you're talking about, capability multiplier and that AI may not take over many jobs, I kind of, at least in my profession, I find that jobs are going because long ago there was a telex operator, he lost his job to the fax machine. There was a guy who was a gopher who would take the tape from the cameraman to the newsroom. That went away when chip technology came in. Once chip technology came in, we thought that that's what's going to be, then FTP started off. So there are many, many jobs which have gone. Those who upskilled and learnt, they are the ones who are able to do, and which, we heard in the healthcare sector. When there are new, if you do not upskill, you don't. For healthcare sector, I'll tell you, I've gone through a plethora of dietitians. It's an uphill battle to, as you age for controlling weight, diabetes, all these kind of things. So what do? I went into an AI model and it's helped me for 6 months. There's a person who's not judging me because I ate that extra samosa. And she's not looking at me with that disapproving look. It's just telling me what is the solution. So I'm using AI for health. Have I taken away the healthcare person's job? Maybe I have. She's lost a client. And not just she, 15 others who have tried before that. On LLM models, which you were talking about, whether the government is going to give incentives, when India will come up with it, I'm sorry, but the IT sector has lost out on that. The LLM models are not hallucinating as much as they used to 6 months back or a year ago or even 2 months back. We have lost the race on LLMs. We have to make sure that the LLM doesn't strip us of our intellectual property rights, as Mr. Bhikchandani, which you said that you're watching my podcast in 20-minute clips. Let me tell you what I did. When I started it for the first year, I was resisting it. I said, everybody has to watch that 1-hour interview that I'm doing with Shashi, and he better give me a 1-hour content on that, and everybody watched that 1 hour. Then I realized there are people like Sanjeev who's listening to it for 20 minutes and I'm not getting the clicks or the revenue. So what did I do? The second time I had